Welcome back to another chapter of me reading my book for people who don't like to read. This chapter is called Love Addict, and this is actually one of the first ones I wrote when I started writing on Substack. It was back in 2022. So let's see if I've changed. Love Addict. Addiction to men. This week's topic. And no, it's not for their genitalia, but I couldn't resist the title as it gave me a chuckle. Oh, because I spelled it D-I-C-K. Okay, just a little inside for you. This topic has actually taken me almost 3 weeks to write due to its very personal nature and embarrassment of letting it out to not only strangers, but close family members who are generous and supportive enough to support my emotional written ramblings. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And I'd also greatly appreciate if you don't bring this up at the next holiday brunch. Everyone knows someone, if not personally, then most likely in the tabloids or countless movies and TV shows, who have suffered from some kind of substance abuse or addiction. But what about when that narcotic is not something orally ingested, but rather another human being? Welcome to my world. It's a tricky one because there is no bottle of booze or jar of pills to put down. It's all stored in that hidden place of shame and dread, my brain. Nothing's changed. Which apparently thrives on giving great power to the opposite sex, allowing them to completely occupy my cranium like a cancer. It's an obsession in my psyche that at times feels so incurable and hopeless, I end up questioning a reason to exist. I apologize if that was too brazen of a start, but I'm almost 50. And honestly, I'm over 50 now. And honestly, I'm just really sick of the seemingly endless emotional pain. This is probably foreign to most of you, but if you've never completely ruined your whole day just waiting for one person to text you back, consider yourself extremely lucky. I'm not writing this because I have come to any great helpful tips or figured out any answers or solutions. Only that I know the addiction and have at various times throughout my life suffered greatly from it. If you're reading this, listening, and can relate, just know you can reach out to me after your close friends get sick of you riding the same toxic roller coaster and refuse to hear that asshole's name once more. If you don't have a close friend afflicted with the same mental illness, screw anyone having any understanding of your pain. They instead just deem you as weak, which makes you stop relaying any obsession-related feelings or actions to them, leaving you even more alone in your pain. This is not at all a criticism of the frustrated friends I have had over the years. Just a statement I felt I had to address for anyone that has been in the same shame-filled predicament and felt they had no one to reach out to. I wish I could have more open conversations with female friends, but just like a guy assuming I'm a bitch, the first female response is most often, that guy's a narcissist or an asshole or both. I don't really buy it to be that black and white, but maybe that's because I've been called crazy ever since I can remember. My friends may be right, and these guys may be complete assholes, but I am the one who should be more harshly judged. They showed their cards from the beginning, and I kept betting, knowing the house always wins. I am the one that needs shock therapy for spending a large chunk of my life vying for the love of several emotionally unavailable, yet somehow sweet in nature, mortals. And the last one was a Raiders fan. As if my shame wasn't embarrassing enough. I got nothing against the Raiders, really. I take that back. In addition to all the glorious moments spent telling jokes on various stages, vying for adoration from strangers, I've in turn spent a good majority of my adult life, grasping for the undying affection of the opposite sex, desperately wanting random, various men to love me, all while picking the absolute worst candidates for the job. What's the famous quote? I don't want to be a part of any club that would have me as a member. If someone likes me too much and too quickly, I automatically assume there is something very wrong with them. Because why would they choose me? I don't know if I feel that way anymore. Or maybe I just love a good challenge. That's true. Let me just state right now for any men who are already thinking of sending me a hateful email of how I'm an ungrateful bitch who doesn't appreciate nice guys, save it. I've already gotten them all. I once spoke on my podcast about breaking up with a guy who was very sweet, but I thought his drinking habits would be bad for me, only to receive an email from a fan letting me know that I was a cunt, I don't want to say that word on here, who was going to die alone. Touché. Apparently, if a guy is nice to me, my best interest should be set aside to make room for his fleeting flowers. My motivation in writing this is not for the purpose of complaining or seeking sympathy for currently only needing one pillow on my bed. I am simply telling my story of various heartbreak due to my own making and hopeful recovery, as it may be relatable and helpful to others in the same situation. I spent the years of 2009 to 2012 being completely obsessed with a guy I had never even kissed. To the point I knew his daily schedule and would try to time my walks to the gym to correlate when he was leaving for his local Alcoholics Anonymous meeting that took place across the street from my studio apartment. In case you didn't believe me when I said this wasn't based solely on sexual contact. I've had a few healthy relationships in my life and about 4 completely unhealthy, obsession-filled, several years-long casualties. I'm writing this in desperate hopes that this last one is exactly that. I fell in love in early 2020 with who I now hope is my last bad habit. And yes, I did sleep with this one, and the sex was amazing. But he was insistent that we were just friends. I would wait around until he wanted to see me again, which was usually about every 3 weeks. Just the type of annoying cycle every woman is used to. Eventually, I was literally breaking my own heart for an hour of what I thought was the deepest love I had ever felt for another person of the opposite sex. Complete ecstasy, followed by a month of tears and sad, desperate, angry texts, usually in the vein of, "Why don't you love me?" Is there any more of a turnoff? At least once a month, I would plan out what I was going to say to him when he contacted me. Usually a very dramatic monologue about why I did not want to see him again, desperately hoping every day that he would text, just so I could tell him why I don't want him to text me anymore. Literally the definition of insanity. Please contact me so I can tell you why I no longer want you to contact me. But of course, he never did. He didn't need to. I wouldn't make it 2 weeks without convincing myself that if you love someone, you should check in and see how they're doing, which in turn would result in him offering to come over, and who am I to say no? I could die tomorrow. Carpe diem. Still trying to figure out if my brain is a blessing or a curse. I tried being with other people, but it just felt mediocre. And why settle for an average buffet when I can still get the filet mignon if I just practice a little bit of patience? These are the justification my effed up brain makes. The more months that passed, the more seriously I began to ponder that this self-destructive, depression-inducing behavior could actually turn to real self-harm. It's already a challenge going through this menopausal midlife change. The inability to look in the mirror, because I quite literally have a different face after the age of 45. My years of partying hasn't helped that, but hey, I lived in New York on 9/11. That's how I justify partying. I witnessed mass death unfold 7 miles from the couch I was perched on. The fragility of life, mixed with my constant pursuit of the most delicious IPA, may not have always been good for the pores. After 3 years of desperate yearning and too many fantasies of just disappearing from daily life, I suddenly became insistent that he be my last messed up, self-destructive obsession. If I didn't finally change, I was going to die. Not necessarily because of him, but because he was just the next protagonist in the story of my life of men I have chosen to destroy me. That's a little dramatic. I became committed to the mindset that the universe keeps giving me the same challenge until I conquer it. I made it my personal emotional boot camp to stick it out with him until I no longer felt like I needed him in order to survive. I kept going back while doing intense personal therapy to make sure, I kept going back to him while doing intense personal therapy to make sure I would never choose another one of these soul crushers again. I have run 13 full 26-mile marathons and watched an officer and a gentleman at least a dozen times. And just like Richard Gere, I don't back away from a challenge. Maybe you should. After many long walks accompanied by motivational podcasts and hours of the best hot yoga, shout out to Core Power Yoga, I no longer cry from the ridiculous and unjustified notion that I desperately need him in my life. I also no longer have anger towards him. I do my best to look at every situation as one that comes from a place of love. Whomever I am tortured by is quite possibly in turn tortured by somebody else. I don't know these guys' personal stories. I just know that I don't want to blame them anymore. Hurt people hurt people, so they say. I've been looking so hard for validation from others instead of just getting it from myself. Like I said, I have no answers or hint of a cure. I'm not sure there even is one, except that similar to being an alcoholic, I just take it one day at a time. The one thing I have learned is that it's not always real. Not every thought I have in my head is fact. It took me till the age of about 42 to learn this, but better late than never, I guess. So now when the negative thoughts and hours of dialogue I pretend to have with the guy rejecting me plagues me to the point of tears, I don't fight it. I just grab some Kleenex and cry, and just imagine those bad thoughts are like a horrible radio station I am forced to listen to until it runs out of batteries. This essay hits on a chunk of my life that resulted in depression, but I'd like to end it by reassuring all of you wonderful people who were caring enough to listen or read this, that I am good. I practice amazing self-care every day, and I am constantly grateful that this is quite literally my only problem in life. What's a little mental illness? I mean, at least I'm not a Raiders fan. That was a cute ending. Yeah. I might have to write another one, part 2, on that guy. So I'll let you know. Thanks for